how long have you been doing the Suraj podcast? It started lockdown, didn't it?
I think it was 6 years ago. I think it was, I want to say the
Crazy.
first episodes were 2020. It could have been before that now. Um, I gotta have to go back and check now. Jeez, man, it's been
Yeah, I'm
maybe
pretty
six.
sure it was lockdown. It was like
Mm.
I felt like it kind of came out of lockdown.
It's the ebb and flow of it because, sometimes we go produce like, a bunch of episodes 1 month and then slow down but it was always kind of like in the background and yeah, I think looking back at it, it's like I feel very familiar with Santokh Singh now, like his writing, like I feel like it's like he's like a friend, you know? Like you read enough
Absolutely.
of somebody and you kind of get a sense of like what they're thinking and feeling because you've engaged with so much of their stuff, right?
Absolutely.
Um like how
Yeah,
many episodes have we done now in total? Maybe about 300. It was like 260. No, over 300 now actually,
over
including
300 episodes, yeah.
including Guru
Including
Gobind Singh.
SPX.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
including SPX, there's over 300 episodes, which is, you know, and I think it is a case of like traveling with the time. Like,
Mm,
we'll go through short bursts where we've got the time and the capacity to just get out the episodes, and then it really slows down. But again,
mm.
I think that is just part of parcel of the game, really.
Yeah.
We've had some massive gaps over SPX actually.
Mm. That's right, yeah.
Um,
It's in the background of all my other work, right? Like,
it is, yeah.
academic publishing, teaching, other stuff, Ballad Chandi and stuff. It's yeah,
Yes.
one of many things, but it is, to be honest, it's the foundation, man.
Yeah. I don't know about you, but I do think about it pretty much every day. Like
Mm,
whether I'm directly engaging with it on that day, it is a thought like SPX, just
mm,
keeping that flow going. I'm like constantly thinking about like could the next what's the next story looking like?
mm.
What's the composition gonna be like? How do we tie it into the other parts? Um like we were discussing, I've been a fan of the Suraj podcast since you released the first episode.
Mm.
Like, what made you start Bidhi Chand anyway? What made you start at that point?
That was just a fun thing, man. I was just reading those stories all day. So like my journey into this is like I would be listening to Katha Babaji, my teacher, Gyanendra Singh, and he
Yeah,
would have Katha on, like out of Suraj Prakash, he has a lot about Guru Hargobind.
right.
This stuff that's missing throughout Suraj Prakash. People didn't go to the Gurdwara on the day to record it. But he had a lot of Guru Hargobind. I remember when I first started studying with him, I started listening to it and then I left it because at that point, like I'm talking probably 2010 to 15, around that time, I found it very difficult to understand the katha, to be honest, man. I listened to a little bit
Yeah,
and like it was tough, man. So I would like slowly, as my Punjabi got better and better, and I listened to other katha because Babaji's katha is a little bit, the vocab is a little bit harder to understand. And I started listening to it, and then I started sending voice notes to friends, being like, yo, in this katha, this happened, and friends that you know as well. And and then eventually the voice notes got longer and longer as I started kind of looking at the text as well, being like, it actually says this and it just those voice notes on WhatsApp turned into like the kind of early like the beta version of the podcast because those guys were like, why don't you just like turn that into an episode? We'll throw some music on it, put an intro on it, and just like throw it online. And we were initially it was just like, let's just do Bidhi Chand, man. Bidhi Chand's fun. Like these stories
yeah,
are just so you just like I think we were talking about this before, maybe another day, but like you were like you kind of had a general idea about Guru Hargobind. They say like Miri Piri de Malik, and like maybe somebody heard about Bidhi Chand stealing a horse, but like there's no specifics, right? When you
yeah.
look at
Exactly. You
these,
you hear the name, you hear the name, and you hear about Dilbag and Gulbag. You hear that you hear these facts, I suppose, and you
uh,
hear, Guru Hargobind, Akal Takht, Miri Piri, the whole Bandi Shore
mm,
episodes, 52 Princes, you know,
mm,
really, you also hear about like he was really tall, really big, and that
yeah,
like they're the kind of like, I suppose, the basics that you do start to understand, but you never understand, and this is what we were discussing earlier, you
mm,
never get to the personality that
mm,
is. Hargobind. You never
Yeah.
get to access that component where the guru feels joy, sadness, anger, rage, all the emotions that you can attribute to any personality.
Yeah.
It appears within the stories of Guru Hargobind.
Mm. Absolutely, man. Not only just that, just all these side characters as well. It's like the personality of Bidhi Chan, the guru's
Yeah,
interaction, like, and his like,
absolutely.
because again in Gurbani over and over again it says like "Patat Pavan and Bhagat Vachal," like the one who cherishes or nurtures the his devotees, right? Bhagat. And like that relationship, it's like, what does that mean? Like we don't necessarily know what that means without examples, right? And this is an
Yeah,
example, like
absolutely.
that
Exactly.
interaction between Guru Hargobind and Bidhi Chand, between Guru Hargobind and Pandey Khan, like those stories, those narratives, paint the picture of that quality, that guna, right? That the
Yeah,
Guru has. And like without that, you hear these terms, but it doesn't land, like the narratives help make, and that's why Gurbani uses these narratives. Like at the beginning of Reras, when it's like Haranaksha Dusht Harmarya Prahalad Taraya, like
Natraya. Yeah,
that's a narrative to prove the point, to give an example of how, Paramatma is gonna protect you and all these things, right? So, but now you get to hear these stories about how Guru Hargobind is like actually like, you know, enacting that this Leela, this drama, this Khel, this tamasha,
mm,
right? So it's yeah, it fills out your understanding, your kind of, it builds a relationship between you and the guru. It's a
it
weird
really does.
thing to say, like, but like
I know, I
since
think my
yeah.
relationship was really quite black and white at the start,
Mm,
and then you start to engage with how the guru conducted themselves and interaction with different characters and personalities. Suddenly they are alive, they do appear before you, and
yeah,
you can really access that.
yeah,
And there's some standout stories. You understand his interaction with like Chandu after Guru
mm,
Arjan Shahidi, and then how he interacts with other um Jodhrai, how he interacts with other characters who then he fights alongside
yeah,
Pende Khan,
mm,
Meherwan, and it's really quite interesting to see the interactions, and I think that's what
mm.
I feel like carries forward as we do enter the stories of Guru Gobind Singh as well.
Yeah, because there is a pattern. And what carries forward is also is like, the depth of the emotions and the kind of human interaction between the gurus is something that's constant, like
Yeah,
it's not like you just have that for Guru Hargobind and Guru Gobind Singh. It's like it's very similar, and it's cool, because in a way, the gurus themselves also have different personalities, and that's cool to understand because it's like the personality itself is not the guru, right? You
mm,
can have different personalities.
absolutely.
Just like you can have different, like Guru Hargobind was very big, it's described, and Guru Gobind Singh is very small, like in
Yeah,
comparison with Guru Hargobind. This is how Santokh Singh describes it.
yeah,
And and so like it's not painting this kind of monolithic, this like kind of this one form of divinity or guru, right?
yeah,
And that's the whole idea is like I think between Guru Nanak and Guru Gobind Singh is like there is that jot that's pervading through all of them,
absolutely,
but they
absolutely.
manifest in different ways. It's like the prism is shooting out different colors,
I think within the within the Suraj podcast and SPX, we've interacted from Guru Arjan all the way to Guru Gobind Singh, and we've
Mm,
noticed how the characters of each of them are unique,
mm,
present themselves differently. Like Guru Tegh Bahadur is described as like he goes maybe once a month
mm,
to do darshan of Guru Hargobind. Otherwise, he kind of stays himself to himself. In fact, you know, Nan, Mata Nan ki, she is like,
mm.
she's constantly asking Guru Hargobind, like, what we're going to do with him.
Yeah, a little bit
She's kind
worried.
of worried, like, what he's not really interacting, he's not doing anything.
Yeah.
And he's just there, like, don't you worry. Like, he's got some absolute great story that he's a
Mm,
part of, and his son is going to be one of the greatest people ever,
mm.
and that kind of reassures her. But again, you hear about that as a character. I feel like for me, Guru Hargobind comes out like this really quite firstly, he's very young and very confident and really quite
Mm.
handsome and big. And you hear that description, and then you've got Guru Tegh Bahadur, who's a bit more reserved. He's
Yeah.
kind of a contemplator. That is the way he's quite quiet. And even when you hear about him getting married, it's
Mm.
like he's there, he's interacting, and but there's a certain like transcendence
Yeah.
that you feel that sort of ras when
Yeah.
you're describing Guru Tegh Bahadur as well.
Yeah, and even these, I think like, that's brilliant. But even then, there's such depth to the descriptions. Like,
Yeah,
Guru Hargobind being this like, large, beastly, also handsome and quite destructive in a way, right?
yeah,
Dalapanjan Guru Surama, Badajoda, like he's this massive, great warrior. At the same time, like in the stories, you get the sense that he's kind of like this gentle giant as well. Like you talked about
absolutely.
when he was at the feet of Meherban
Meherban, yeah,
and even like they bring Anand. Anand is a character from, Guru Amar Dashi's lineage. Guru Hargobind's like lifting the palki for this guy, and he's the guru, but like he understands Anand as being this very senior, elderly figure, and he's gonna help out, and in his relationship with Bidhi and then Baba Buddha Ji and Pandey Khan,
absolutely.
such an emotional connection. Even with his mother,
Absolutely.
when his mother passes away, Mata Ganga Ji, he's tearing up, and that's like it adds layers and
A-
depth to
And
this.
also when Mata Viru, when she gets married,
Mm,
it's like it is described like it was the one time when the Guru shed a tear,
mm,
not the dully of his daughter.
mm.
And there's that softness. And then not just that, when Bidhi Chand, when he passes away, that heartbreak,
Yeah, it's cool, man.
you
Hearing the
feel
stories
it's just like the softness as
about
well.
Vito, like BB Vito, and then like her sons, right?
Absolutely.
Jeetmal, Sangosha, Mari Chand, Gulab Chand, all these guys, the five
Gangaram,
sons, they are then, and major characters, right? That Guru Gobind Singh
absolutely.
himself writes about in Bachitra Nanak that, Santokh Singh's writing heavy about in terms of the Battle of Bhangani and stuff. So it's like you have this Ladi, you have this continuation of these stories, even from Guru Hargobind to Guru Gobind Singh. So it's a good, you know, this was a question as well. It's like, why did we skip, Guru Har Rai, Guru Har Krishan, Guru Tegh Bahadur? And the answer is like it was a time issue. Like there's so many people that wanted to hear the stories of Guru Gobind Singh. And there's so many stories. And in a way, they're also connected very like deeply with the stories of Guru Hargobind. So it's an
Yeah.
easy transition from Guru Hargobind to Guru Gobind Singh. Um,
Yeah, I mean, as far as I understand, there's six ruts, right? And then
in
the
Guru
two
Gobind Singh.
N.
Yeah, yeah,
So is it eight full chapters about Guru Gobind Singh?
that's right. Yeah,
Like the end is still part of the story, if you will.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So it's just crazy. So yeah, we had like it is good that like you can start there. And I suppose just like with the Bidhi Chand, you kind of cycled back. Um, for me, they were like I've told you, they were super transformative, like
Mm,
bringing out this real third dimension to the Guru story, to how you feel and interact. And I suppose that was the reason why like I wanted to get involved.
yeah.
Like you put on like Daydream by Nitin Sawhney and Fathers by Anushka Shankar and
Mm,
The Last Samurai soundtrack for
mm.
the Shahidi story of Guru Arjan. And I'd listen to them so much that like I'd just put the soundtrack on and I'd be thinking about those stories. Like the fact that we kind of use the same music for so many episodes. You hear Daydream and suddenly you're like with Bidhi Chand as he's cutting this green grass and he's trying to sell it and then he's going and acting very simple and looking after the horse and he's kind of prepping the heist, if you will.
Mm,
You are feeling that, and then you're feeling when Guru Tegh Bahadur's getting married and you're hearing this father's soundtrack and you're hearing the sitar being played. And suddenly, when it came to SPX and when you announced it, I was straight on. I was like, well,
oh,
the fact that I associate the music
yeah.
to the story in such a way, like it'd be beautiful for the stories to have their own soundtrack. So we can
Mm,
like literally that's the association you have. And it's been, I suppose that's why also the time of releasing is a bit more slow release. It takes a bit more time because like we've had like this is one of the conversations, but we have so many conversations about characters and
mm,
movements and storylines and what changes, and it's slowly piecing and piecing to get this like finished track, which
mm.
takes time. You have to really sit with the story.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, it kind of needs to mature, right?
Imagine like even when Kavi Santokh Singh was like composing, he really will have had to just constantly be meditating on the story. Like, didn't you explain to me how he didn't actually write, did he? He just kind of spoke. Is that how
So,
he did it?
so there's a interesting kind of description of this by Veer Singh. What Veer Singh does, like he knows this because a couple of things. His dad is a pundit, a scholar of this text, and his dad actually was very invested in this text. So he went to go see the people that were with Santokh Singh when he was composing this. And this is how what Veer Singh says, that he had heard from people who were in Kathal at that time, who were like in that inner circle. So like when Santokh Singh's composing this, he's not by himself and like he like puts it out to somebody. Like he has a whole crew there. We know this because the Raja of that city state, Uday Singh, he provided four lakaris, meaning four scribes. And then he had also apparently, we don't know how many, but he had also like research assistants essentially like with Santokh Singh who would like presumably like provide him with source text, provide him with um, even like editing maybe. But how Santokh Singh is described composing it is like he would be in the Haveli, which like Eeshar Singh just recently bought, in one of the rooms, and he would have a parda, he would have kind of this sheet, a curtain, in between him and the lakaris and the scribes. Apparently in the morning, he would like wake up, he'd do his Naam Bani, like he had a Prakash of Guru Granth Sahib at that Haveli as well, so he'd read
Right.
his Bani. And then presumably he would look at some of the source material because he is pretty accurate to the source material, meaning like, he's writing in the, mid 1800s. He's looking at the 1700s text and he's like, okay, Gurbalas says this, for example, describing Guru Gobind Singh in that last battle in 1707 as wearing like blue bana. He's with his like, Akalis, and they're going into battle also in blue. That's how they're described, like, Shaheed Singhs. And that Gurbalas text that he's using, he's pretty accurate to that. So you can imagine that he's, sourcing that text. He's playing off of it. So he's looking at that source material initially, and then he would in the afternoon, he would sit down with his scribes and he would have, this is what Veer Singh describes, like he has some type of drink called no Rattan. Um, Veer Singh says it's basically sukha. There's like some cannabis in there. He'd have that in one hand, and then in another hand he'd have a stick, and he was either sitting or kind of walking around, but he would play this rhythm. Each chand, each meter has a different chal to it, right? And he would play like the rhythm of a savaiya, like, savaiya like pahenga he jabate to mare tabate ko aak tere nahi aaniyo. It's like short, long, short, short, long, short, short. It's like that.
Hmm.
In regard to the stressed syllables versus the non-stressed. If you look up iambic pentameter, it's a very similar thing. Different length of the meter, but same idea about there's a kind of a flow to it, right? Um,
Absolutely.
so he'd play with this stick and he would just like create this like rhythm. However he would do that, I'm not sure. That's something I need to talk to some more Braj scholars about. But he would do that and he would just off his dome, off the top of his head, knowing the material that he would have to, use in terms of source, but then he would just compose it just like that. And then the guys would be writing it down, right? So it's incredible. Like he's not sitting there scribing it and like
Absolutely, exactly. So that it's like an experiential thing
mm.
for him
That's why
rather
the
than
that's why the curtain's there, right?
absolutely.
Because he's like trying to get fully just immersed in his
Yeah,
Ruben talks about this as well. Like he makes sure maybe Iti could talk about Rick Rubin, but like He's somebody that, I mean, he's not even kind of a producer, but he's kind of somebody that helps
Absolutely.
musicians and artists kind of produce the best work. And he
That's it.
says like in recording studios, like they want to make sure like anybody that doesn't need to be there is out. Yeah, like it's only the artist, so he could feel like it's like he's in fully like the zone. You know, he's not going to get distracted by anybody. He's not going to feel uncomfortable in any sort of way. And that's what I think Santokh Singh was doing there. He was just really trying to immerse himself in that experience and just, let the muse take over, right? Like let,
That's it. Absolutely.
the creative, juices just fully flow with no blockages.
That's it. It's quite hard to be creative. I mean, myself as well. Like, it's very hard to compose and be creative if you feel like you're being spectated,
Mm,
or if you feel like you have to embody the character that is you. Like, in
mm,
order to really get good art, you have to kind of remove yourself from the process as much as possible and allow, like you said, the muses to come and help direct you into the right state of being in order
mm,
to get it out. And I think, it makes sense. Like, if I was Kavi Santokh Singh, I wouldn't want to be really disturbed and have people looking and watching the process. But again,
mm,
that experiential element of it, like, you can feel that, like the way he writes and the way he describes. It'd be quite difficult to like pen that as
mm.
opposed to like describe it and have it written.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
true.
I was going to say the quote for Rick Rubin. I mean, it's not completely paraphrased, but I've got it written down as well, which was the audience comes last. I'm not making it for them. I'm
Mm,
making it for me, right?
Mm,
Which is quite
absolutely.
strange because like we have a very kind of like, oh, that'd be ego, that'd be homo. Like, I'm just hoping something graceful comes upon me. But it's like actually, if you're making something truly for yourself, it turns out that by making that and being true to yourself, you're doing the best possible thing you could for the whole audience, for everybody
That's
else.
it. That's it. Yeah,
Um,
he also
right.
says that the
And it's
audience
really
doesn't know what the audience doesn't know what they want.
mm,
Yeah, I mean, if you're making it for them, then you're making something that already exists, right? That's pop
Yeah,
culture.
absolutely.
You're trying to make something that's already out there and just regurgitate it with a new flavor. Um, but yeah, to create something totally original and to really get into those headspaces, it's beautiful to get these insights into how did these, Mahakavi, the guy's got a title like
Yeah,
the
exactly.
greatest of poets,
Yes,
and what's his method and how does that work? And also the importance of teamwork, right?
mm,
Like
yeah,
kind of project
that's
should
it.
not be one person gets the label, like a director of a movie or anything else. But anything great just ends up taking this kind of play of minds and really
Yeah,
trying to
absolutely.
craft something truly truthful.
That's it.
mm.
Let's move on to SPX because that's where I think it really ramps up. Like, I think we're getting to. Would you say that there feels like there is more characters in the stories of Guru Gobind Singh than there are in the stories of Guru Hargobind?
I think so right now because there's just in the terms of the politics that's being played amongst all the hill kings, the Pahari Raje, it's much more complicated, I think, the way it's being told. And this also might be a function of the source material that we have for Guru Gobind Singh that Santokh Singh had is much more descriptive, like really going to the weeds of the politics. Um, and then because of that and the location of where Guru Gobind Singh is, by Tara, like 22 kind of hilltops, all of them have their own little kings sitting on top of that region, right? And Guru Gobind Singh is interacting with all of them, and he's kind of upsetting that order when he gets there, and the whole Sangat is just flowing into that area, and these little hill kings, like they can't compete against Guru Gobind Singh in that sense, right? In terms of like all the amdan, the wealth and the kind of the donations that are coming through, all these like crazy items, the prasadi hati that's coming through. So yeah, it's a lot to kind of sit with. I mean, we are in what halfway through the season number two, and this is I think one of the reasons why we're just having this talk is just like who are all these characters, man? There's a
Yeah,
lot
what
of
is
people.
going on?
Even in the Guru's house, there's so many, like the five cousin warriors of like Bibi Vito's sons, and then, his Mamaji is there, Kirpal Chand there, and then there's a Mahant Udasi also named Kirpal, and then there's a Hill King also named Kirpal
No, Kirpal.
Katochia.
I
Yeah,
know
there's a lot of
there's
even
three
similar
like
names.
main Kirpals that you hear in this all of them completely different personalities. I mean, actually, why don't we just start there? Like, I think Mama Kirpal Chand is introduced like at the start of Ruth 1.
Mm.
How old is Guru Gobind Singh actually when Ruth 1 starts? Do we
Well,
roughly know?
I mean, that's basically when he gets Gurgaddi, right? So,
Absolutely, yeah.
so there's this, there's a difference. Some people say that Guru Gobind Singh was born in 1666, and then some people say it was 1661. So he's anywhere around like, 10 to, 14 years old, something
Right.
in between those ages. And now, like when we're in Route 2 before the Battle of Pagani, he's about 18 to 22 in those
I
around those
see.
ages. So, a
Yeah, so
lot has happened. Yeah.
it's quite interesting that like, it starts off with Guru Tegh Bahadur's Shahidi and Mama Kirpal Chand, he has this quite pivotal role, right? At kind of fulfilling, the Guru gets married quite early on in Ruth 1 and being that fatherly figure
Mm.
in the absence of Guru Tegh Bahadur, doing the Milni engagements, everything, all the Gul Ki Reet,
Yeah, man.
so that's it's really, really interesting character.
Mm.
I
Um,
think he also acts as a really good counterpoint to Guru Gobind Singh's mother, right? Because she's trying to keep the,
Absolutely.
like we'll see
Yeah,
later on,
she is.
chapters come on. She's trying to be like diplomatic. She's trying to keep the peace, and then
That's
to kind
it.
of have Guru Gobind Singh going against his own mother, like that kind of creates a little bit of a strange tension or interesting tension. But he's always asking permission of his mama, and his mama's always like, look, like that's what she said, but you've got different
Absolutely.
game. You're a different warrior. You've got different
Yeah.
places.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I think that's a really key point as well.
Yeah. And I also think it really invigorates as well martial training begins very early on, and
Mm.
Mama Kirpal Chand is definitely a key player in building the backstops to shoot these large arrows
Mm.
and wrestling and horse riding and really carrying on and building this. And he's also a key player when it comes to, going to the jungles and playing the Ranjit Nagara for the first time. And I think
Mm.
that's when it starts to get really interesting. That's where we start to encounter the beginnings of the conflict. Like if Iti you to share the map
Yeah,
and we can really have a look at like where the Guru's situated. And then maybe we
yeah.
could actually talk about Ruth 1 into Ruth 2 and kind
Let's
of
All
go
see.
right,
that way.
cool. Yeah, so I mean, we just as we go through the stories, one of the things that I like to do is just sort of map out these locations, and from any sources that we've got, and we'll link some in the description to this. Just looking at where these locations are. So all of this story is happening at in the north of India. You've got straight north of Delhi. You've got Delhi as a little point here, and literally to the west of sorry, to the east of Lahore. And so you got this main corridor for all of the kind of the Mughals, the Turks, going
Mm.
between Lahore and Delhi. And just to the northeast of that, you've got this mountain range, right? Like that's the Himalayan mountains, this lovely um, white area in the northeast. And then you've got this little corridor in between with some hills to the southwest, and then this little corridor in between. And this is actually the region of the Hill Raja. Um, and you can see Anandpur Sahib's here, right? And so what I'll do is I'll start to show the main locations. So as we speak through, I can show kind of where these locations are, and I'll mention them, and
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
Jvala, you can jump in and kind of provide more details. So these areas that are colored in here, these are the main. These are not exact. We don't have the exact locations for that time period, but these are generally the locations or the regions that were run by different Hill Raja. And I'll keep out Fatehshah for now. So just north of Guru Gobind Singh, and you've got, the main Satluj River meanders around this way. So
Mm.
through the mountains, this is where Anandpur is located, right? Just on the banks of the Satluj River. And then this is kind of the gateway, this area where Raja Bhim Chand, which was called Kahlur. And I think originally, what was it called? Bilaspur or something.
I mean, that's his kingdom is named Bilaspur, but it's also called Kahlur as well. There's both.
That's it. Right. So he's kind of like he's the closest to Anandpur. And most of these hill Raje, if you follow the locations, if you follow the road networks, they kind of all come towards Kahlur before they
Yeah.
come to like Delhi or the rest of India. So that kind of gives the status of Bhimchand, maybe as like kind of the gatekeeper. Um, just north of his location, you've got Mandi to the northeast. To the north and to the northwest, you've got Kadoch or Kirpal. You will hear of Kirpal Kant Kadochiya.
Oh, yeah.
This is also Kangra. This is where the art style comes from.
Mm.
Um, just to the west of Kadoch, the actual like fortress in the city, you've got Raja Gopal from Guler.
Valeria,
You'll
yeah.
hear him in the story mentioned in Galeria. Shiba's here. He's one of there's many other small hill Raja areas, and there's like a alliance of 16 or 20 hill Raja. I don't
I
think
suppose because if they have to leave leave the hilly area and goes down south, they have to go through towards Bhimchand, right?
yes, yeah.
Like that's the only
I
like exit point.
yeah. I mean, there's small areas, but there is this ridge right down here, a mountain ridge. It actually acts as a natural defense. And this is
Yeah.
probably one of the main reasons why, as the Mughals and so forth are kind of fighting in India or trying to take their troops and so forth moving through India. This is all flat plains.
Mm.
To try and get into these mountainous areas, you're gonna have to start going into some major choke points.
Yeah.
So yeah, you really had to want to take these kings out in order to
Mm.
to move up, and they could always move further and further into the mountain regions, just making it much harder to actually like take them out in one go.
Yeah.
And Anandpur Sahib and Guru Gobind Singh, they're beginning to kind of settle in this major choke point, in this major area near the Satluj River. You've also got trade that goes on the rivers, right? Like so, because the Satluj River goes through, it's like the highway, right? The Hill Raja and the tradespeople and everybody else, they would be putting things into onto the ships onto boats, sorry, in the river, and then these would be traveling down. So nearly everything would be passing through this Anandpur area before it goes into India, and same as things pass upwards. You've got Raja Kesri Chand. He is mentioned in one of the earlier parts of, I think, season 2. Bhimchand calls on him to act as a emissary and to
As
speak
a
on his.
delegation. Yes, he does. He does. He
That's right.
calls
Yeah,
him as a
exactly.
delegation,
And so you can kind of see
along with
like
his Purohit.
exactly. Yeah, that's right. And I believe he's the brother-in-law of Raja Bhimchand.
Mm.
Yeah, he
And
is.
so they're all kind of like, they've got some form of familial relationships. And you can kind of see Guru Gobind Singh's, being in Nandpur, he's right in the middle of these two regions. And then you've got Raja Harichand. He'll come
Mm.
in much later in this Bhangani battle. And we'll see why this whole region is quite interesting as we go more in towards the more recent episodes. Like
Absolutely,
this is
yeah.
giving you the early Anandpur, the kind of season 1.
Yes, the way I've kind of interpreted it is like Ruth 1, season 1 is like the main scenery and the main location is Anandpur. We're kind of establishing who the Guru is, how the Guru interacts with various Raje. We hear about Rattan Rai and so on. And then Ruth 2 is where we try and transition, further east
Yeah.
to Paonta and whatnot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the engagement that Guru Gobind Singh has with Bhimchand, who is a key player and a key part of Ruth 2 and the Battle of Bhangani. So we really need to find out Bhimchand's origins in Ruth 1. To me, it starts off, we have to kind of go even further back where we talk about Rattan Rai, because the gifts that he bestows to the Guru, the key in the engagement that Bhimchand has with Guru Gobind Singh. He brings the Panchkala Shastra, he brings Prasadi, the elephant, and he brings like a seat, a sandalwood seat. And there's also another story of a tent from Kabul. It's these four items mainly, isn't it? That
That's
are the
right.
main attraction to Bhimchand when he starts to interact with Guru Gobind Singh.
Yeah, I think also those are key items that indicate a Raja, right?
Yeah,
Having an elephant automatically having a shutter, having an elephant is automatically Raja territory. Having a phenomenal tent means you can put the Darbar anywhere. You don't need a location, you don't need a fortress, which is important because it means also you don't need a historical lineage as to why you're the rightful king of a particular area, like Raja Bhimchand would have been, right? Like
yeah,
he's inherited his kingdom, he's got all this legacy, and all of a sudden here's this young guru turn up, and he's being treated like he's a full-on Raja. And the interesting thing about Ratan Rai is Ratan Rai he's childless, right? Like, and he meets Guru Tegh Bahadur, and this is the story that Guru Tegh Bahadur ends up bestowing him with a child, like blessing him, and he ends up having a child. And it's he's once he's heard the okay now, Guru Tegh Bahadur Shahidi's happened, and Guru Gobind Singh is on the Gaddi of Guru Tegh Bahadur. He's showing his lineage, he's showing his alliances, he's showing that I
absolutely.
respect you as the next king, and as the next guru. And I think those are like, Assam is far to the east, right? Like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's not close.
The
This isn't
travel
close
is
to
crazy. The
Raja.
travel is just mental.
Yeah,
And I think even in one of the episodes, it describes that Rattan Rai spends a number of years actually acquiring these gifts,
Hmm.
right? It's like meticulous gathering over a number of years, and then I can imagine that the travel to get to Anandpur must have taken weeks, right? To
Hmm.
get down from Assam all the way to Anandpur, because it wouldn't have just been Rattan Rai, it would have been a full entourage that came.
That's right. Yeah. And I think when we think about that in relation to the politics as well, it's really important because, like, these hill kings are only collecting money from like their own region, right? But again, like the guru's situated within that milieu, like amongst all of them. But what does he get? He has this trans-regional Sangat community that's bringing items from, Kabul, from South India, from Assam, and it's like making these guys burn up inside. Like, yo, I don't have no like Mughal style tent. I don't have no like fancy
Yeah.
elephant, and who the hell is this guy? Like, this guy just came here recently. Like, if you think about Bhim Chand and these guys or whoever, and they've had dynasties that are lasting generations and, perhaps even centuries, who knows, right? And then like all of a sudden they're getting, outdone by this, local, spiritual type king, type military ruler. It's like, the gurus, we could talk about this as well. It's almost like a mirror. Like it depends how you want to look at the guru. You can see him in many different lights, um, many different ways. But yeah, I mean, that's also plays into why like these guys get so pissed, right? When you kind of think through that and see like, yeah, these guys have no chance in competing against the guru. This is
Yeah.
also like militarily, like why, something we could talk about as well.
I mean, I think it starts off actually curiosity with Bhimchand.
Mm.
So like
Yeah.
Guru Gobind Singh's commissioned like they obviously are like there's a sense of like confusion. Who's this? Who is this? Who's Guru Gobind Singh? And the sense of curiosity. Let's get to know. Let's see how we can function and work together and whatnot. Guru
Mm.
Gobind Singh commissions the first Ranjit Nagara towards the end of Rut 1.
Oh,
And he's playing that in the jungles. It gets the interest of Bhimchand, who's hearing the Nagara being beaten. He's hearing about these hunting expeditions that the Guru's doing, and that piques his curiosity, right?
mm. Yeah, and initially there's, fondness and like you mentioned an intrigue, but I mean, we could talk about this later on as well, like kind of how it shifts, the reasons why it shifts, how Santokh Singh talks about that shift, um, philosophically kind of pointing to the fact that the guru is Karan Karan, kind of the doer and the actor, the one who kind of moves everybody in different ways, like the kind of orchestrator of this
It's
Leela,
Lila.
this
Yeah.
drama, right? But yeah, something shifts in Bhim Chund's mind later on, where kind of jealousy sprouts up, and then
I
things
th-
go.
Yeah, because initially it starts off that he sees these items, and the discussion does start off about these items. He sees Prasadi the elephant, and Prasadi the elephant's able to do the chore, and he's able to
Yeah.
go and collect arrows from the backstops,
Wash
and
the
he's
feet
able
of the
to wash
gurus.
the feet exactly. So he's able to like do all these kind of things, and also he's just really loved. Like you hear about him, he's nicking laddus from the stand, and they're being reimbursed by the guru, and he's kind of like traveling around Anandpur. Like you're imagining he's like a key, a key part of the nature of Anandpur, or the presence
Mm.
of the guru. You can feel it with Prasadi's interaction in
Yeah.
Anandpur,
Mm.
and I think that is what Bhimchand really sees. It's not just an elephant, which is a sign of sovereignty anyway, but the fact that this elephant is so unique and
Mm.
so rare. And even the way that Prasad is described, he's got this roti shaped mark, and
Yeah.
and he's very young as well. Like he's not
Mm.
like an old elephant. He comes as a baby elephant essentially.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of like I suppose attractive points to Prasadi. And even the story goes that Bhimchand then requests the elephant, and the first thing that the Guru offers is another elephant.
Oh.
And the Guru
Yeah.
says, we can give you this elephant, but Prasadi, I have been instructed by my Sikh to not give this elephant to anybody. It's
Mm.
part of the Guru's Darbar, and here it will remain. And I'm nobody to go back on the word of my Sikh. It's a really, really interesting part.
Mm.
I think it just kind of goes and slowly gets bitter as these engagements happen. And you
Mm.
get to a point where the conversation is actually no longer about the elephant. The subject matter might be the elephant, but the conversation is much more. The subtext of that is about power and about
Mm.
control and about who has that control and that presence and that demand, uh, that command in that space.
Yeah, and you get to
Yeah,
kind of see how that kind of pans out, and the different ways the gurus are kind of aware of, these power politics and, tricks and deceptive ploys, and, the gurus writing about all of these as well, right? Uh, so he's quite familiar about, how people can kind of play a charitar, kind of this, a deceptive ploy on somebody. But yeah, that is definitely the subtext about control and stuff, how the guru's not gonna fall under uh their control. So yeah, do you want to move
yeah.
forward from here in terms of then
Yeah,
moving?
yeah, I think we're getting there. I think the one thing that we need to mention as well is how the deceitful plan that Bhimchand has
Mm,
is that they use it as a wedding gift, because the wedding gift between Bhimchand's son and Fatehshah's daughter, who we'll be able to see on the map soon, right?
Yeah.
How that engagement, they want to use Prasadi the elephant as one of the kind of, I don't know, they want to
Well,
take it as part of the wedding party, and they want to, that's the idea, and borrow it but then never return. He's tried all the methods. He's tried four types of ways of kind of control, right? One is to offer
mm,
sanctuary, and then one is to offer money. The other one is to cause conflict
mm.
within the region, and then the fourth one is to just do a full-on attack. And I think Bhimchand tries to exercise all four of these as much as he can in Ruth 1, to the
Yeah,
point at which
yeah.
he wants to
the
kind of attack, right?
the first one was you go into their sanctuary. Yeah, yeah. You
Yeah,
go into their
exactly.
sanctuary, you pay them money.
Yeah.
Sam, Dam, Dandapid. These are the four. Yeah.
Is Bhimchand would be offering Guru Gobind Singh sanctuary. Is that how it works?
No, no, no. It's
yeah,
you requesting to come into their sanctuary, as in like
I
you become
see.
their subordinate
I
and
see. I see.
infiltrate from within.
Right, I see.
And then the opposite of that is you pay them, which is basically like you're setting up a dependent situation. Like you're paying them and they are like, oh, cool, we're getting money. It's like what, lobbyists will do, right? You
Right,
pay
yeah, I get
certain
you.
politicians.
Yeah, that's how I understood that one. So it's like the first one would be to say, we'd come under your sanctuary, and then the second one it'd be like Bhimchand would pay for the say we would pay for Prasadi or whatnot,
Yeah.
right?
So the first one is like doing this, like, yo, we're part of you, man. We're like, you know, we are like your servants and stuff. And they did try that play,
They
right?
they tried that because their minister said like, Bhimchand is yours, everything in
Mm.
this region is already yours.
Yeah.
Bhimchand's son is yours, and trying to use these sweet words,
I think
trying
they've
to get into that way.
even said like, we have come into your sanctuary. I think
Yeah, they
that's how
have.
they framed it once.
Yeah, exactly. So all four of those methods are being exercised, have been
Mm.
tested, but the
Yeah.
Guru has seen past all of them.
Yeah.
He's not taken anyone. He's understood the Charitra, like you were on
Huh.
about. And I think because of that conflict, the Guru is like, well, he's actually ready. He's like ready to battle them. They actually do start planning. They start prepping to fight in Anandpur.
Mm.
It is made the
They're ready to
Prakash's
go.
request. They're ready to go.
Mm.
Absolutely. Cool. So this is the end of Ruth 1, really, where we've got this conflict. The Guru is now instructed or requested to move towards the area of Paonta, right? So what does that look like on the map?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's even.
So we're looking at around about episode 45. 44 is when they depart. 43 is when they get the request to move down. And let me just share my screen and I'll show you guys where these areas are. Boom. Cool. So we're here in Anandpur, and you got like Raja Bhimchand over here. And then if we zoom out a little bit, we'll see between Anandpur, and if I just measure this out, it's around about 100 kilometers to the southeast that you've got from Anandpur to where they established Paonta. The interesting thing here is if you look between Medini Prakash, ignoring Dehradun, let's just get rid of that one for now. Let's get rid of the Hill Raje. What you've now got is Medini Prakash and his area called Sarmor, here on the
It's the
west
same
side.
area called Nahan then. So it's
Yeah,
two
so this
names
That's
as
right.
well.
region,
Yeah.
this
It's the
Right.
is
same.
Nahar is split between Harijan's area. So this whole ridge here,
Okay, right, I see. That
all of
whole
this
area is
area
called
is called
Nahan.
Nahar.
I
Yeah,
see.
and it's kind of like this corridor, like we were mentioning the corridors. You got Anandpur's got like this kind of little corridor. Then you got this area which is Harijan's, um, and then you've got this area here, and you can follow the kind of the river basin between these two mountain ranges. And
Yeah.
then that opens up this area here as well. This all opens up to this like really nice plain between these two mountains here, or these two mountain ranges. So that's
That's
and
sick.
there's a beautiful description
It's so
as the
sick.
road is traveling through. Um, there's like the absolute beautiful description of what this area looks like, the
A-
trees and the hunting that was
Absolutely.
going on.
I mean, that's
But
one of my favorite things to compose to. Like when I composed to this, it was like
Mm.
uh, I'm really looking forward to releasing it later on. The whole description. I mean, Jvala, do you want to tell us a bit about the description that Kavi Santokh Singh does around that travel?
I mean, like you said, it was really fun to compose. I found it really fun to translate. And I think like I've heard feedback from listeners is like the way Kavi Santokh Singh describes Guru Gobind Singh's interest and like his experience, going through the forest, loving it, um, and kind of you get this sense when you read like Akalos that like Guru Gobind Singh is seeing Paramatma and everything, like Jale Hari, Thale Hari, like these types of lines make sense when you read Santokh Singh's narrative, right? When you see like Guru Gobind Singh is like in awe when he's looking out at the Jamuna River flowing, that they're kind of traveling alongside, or they see the different types of trees, and there's like such. That was actually very hard to translate because all these are like technical names of like different trees. Of course, you have like jasmine and mango and stuff, but then you have like really like obscure trees that I have to look up in the dictionary. So it's difficult to translate, but it's really fun because it kind of you could have that experience. Like I did that. I traveled from Anandpur to Paonta, right? And you're going through that region, And having listened to it, having translated it, it really kind of situates you. It situates the guru in the world, like this is like a real place. The guru walked here. The guru had the experience. I'm having the experience that the guru had in terms of like you're looking around and you're like, wow, it's like, Paramatma is like kind of his like soba, like kind of the, the beauty, the kind of the radiance of Paramatma is kind of so evident, right? It's like so pratak, it's so manifest. In this beauty of nature. And if you have somebody who's so skilled, like a poet like Santokh Singh, that can convey that can make you feel that when you go there, you also feel that. I mean, there's just, that is really kind of drenching, your insides with kind of these stories, like they're embedded, because you've had that physical. I mean, I can't recommend enough, like having listened to these stories, like going there as well and kind of obviously it's not the same as it used to be. Like there's kind of different there's a lot of development and this and stuff, in terms of Jamuna River as well, how it's kind of changed its flow because of dams and stuff like this. But still, like regardless, like it's incredible. Some small notes I wanted to say, like what's cool is like Santokh Singh himself did this as well. Like he traveled and he mentioned um I've been here, I saw these trees, and something I just realized more recently is like when he's saying like when Guru Gobind Singh finds his spot, like this is the best spot. Like I'm like the Guru's like amazed at how beautiful the river is flowing beside Paonta, and he's like, my feet have stopped here. Like this is where I'm stopping my feet, and that's how Paonta gets its name, right? Pav, matlab, pair, like feet, ta, like stopped. This is where my feet have stopped. That's how they get the name Paonta, because Guru Gobind Singh just like stopped in his tracks. Like, wow, this is just incredible. The beauty of it. Um, and then he's using that beauty like as a muse, to compose his Krishna avatar, which he's like composing sitting along the banks, right? Underneath these mango trees that Santokh Singh is like, man, I've seen those mango trees. He's like, the very trees that Guru Gobind Singh was sitting under, basically in this region, man. I've been there. I've seen them. They're still there because he's writing it 120 years, 30 years after Guru Gobind Singh passed. And these trees are probably not even that old, right? I mean, they're probably older than that. They're old growth mango trees. That's not unusual. So he's like, yeah, I've seen these really old, 100+ year old trees. So they must have been there when Guru Gobind Singh was there. So it is like I think one of my favorite moments I think on the podcast is that those episodes kind of describing the scene, how vivid it is, and it's something that we can still experience. That's what is kind of really shocking. Like even though you can say like okay, like Guru Gobind Singh's darshan is obtained within the Khalsa, right? When you have the Didar of Khalsa, you get the Guru Gobind Singh's darshan. But like in the similar way, like when you see like where the Guru had composed his bani and the kind of this vegetation that they were looking upon, it's like you also get that like chalak, that kind of like glimpse of like Guru Gobind Singh's darshan there as well. So um, I think yeah, that's why it's just one of my favorite sections.
I
I mean,
agree. I mean, even for me, it was like even the contrast, right? You get Bhim Chand and you get this whole conflict, and suddenly you're getting this beautiful, vivid description, and you're the whole flavor of the story. It just that contrast itself is just so enjoyable, right?
Mm,
Before we get into Rut 1, which is filled with, battle and other kind of political discussions and whatnot, we get this transition of like pure beauty and engagement and in that sense. So, again, it was like it's definitely a highlight of the end of Ruth 1 and going into Ruth 2. Let's look at the map again because it's really interesting where the Guru positions himself. It's
mm,
yeah,
really
yeah,
interesting what the location of Paonta is as well.
that was key. I was just about to jump in and mention that. Let me show you this, all right? And this just shows the brilliance of Guru Gobind Singh, right? Like not only is he like a poetic genius, he's also like a great strategic warrior. Let me just get rid of this overlay for a second. Boom. Okay, so like Paonta, right here on the side of Yamuna, right? And Medani Prakash has got this area, so So his the separation between him and the Hill Raja, there's an ally, Raja,
Mm.
who's literally there. But not only that, Paonta, because of the Yamuna River, this mountain range, this protected hill area, this mountain range just to the south, has this massive valley carved out of it. And we'll see later on when we're talking about the location of some of the other alliances like Irbutusha, how key having this kind of almost like an avenue out, but also an avenue for reinforcements
Mm.
against the Hildraje. And again, this
And an
kind of
avenue for retreat,
avenue for retreat,
importantly as well.
supporters, you name it, like it's just absolutely brilliant strategic positioning. And we'll see when we see the wedding party coming through, like how key this area is. It's just a brilliant bottleneck for the Hilraje to not have to traverse through mountain regions. And if you've got an army and you've got elephants and you've got wedding gifts, you ain't gonna go up and down mountains, right?
Mm.
Just going up and down is going to take crazy amount of time. You want to get down to these flat plains, but you don't want to go too far south. We know from Guru Hargobind stories, right? If you go too far south, some Mughal administrator of the area might be like, "Oh, that's a nice hathi. I'm taking it for myself," just like he did
Mm.
with, Dilbag and Gulbag and took the horses, and then you have to try and get your stuff back off these guys who are seeing themselves as enforcers of the Mughal rule.
Mm.
So you got this natural border. Uh, and yeah, the Guru just puts himself right there where you've got this massive plain, open area. I mean, now this area is over farmed. Well, I mean, it's not over farmed; it's just farmed, and so you can see a lot of farms in this map. But if we follow the ridge of the trees along this ridge, and you'll see this is actually where Bhangani is as well. And we'll go into that later on.
Mm.
But this tree line, this tree ridge would have continued all the way down to this area as well around the rivers, very, very close to the river. So it was just strategically, it's just an absolutely brilliant location. If there's any pressure from the Mughals trying to come in, there's a very specific corridor that they would have to come through.
Mm.
And if they manage to get through that, you could easily kind of retreat further up or further towards Medni Prakash or other alliances. Such a key location, absolutely brilliant. And as we go into uh, the beginnings of Rut 2, we
I mean, I think it's worth showing the boundary of Mehdi Prakash's area as well and
yeah,
where Paonta is situated in
put
that.
those back on.
Like, look at that.
All right.
Mm.
So this is all Medni Prakash's area, and this is Raja Fatehshah, and these two are actually at war. And it's Guru Gobind Singh who brokers a peace deal between these two.
Mm.
And in between this region that's yellow, this is Dehradun. This is where the Ram Rai are located. This is like later on Punjab Court. This is the beginnings of season 2. We see the
Yeah.
interaction between Guru Gobind Singh and the Ram Rai. And Jvala, you could speak more about that, but it's key to kind of see this relationship between Medni Prakash in blue and Raja Fateh Shah, who later on we'll hear about how his relationship with Bhim Chand, who remember is all the way back up here near
Yeah,
Anandpur,
yeah.
how that relationship begins to solidify and why this location of Paonta ends up being a bit of a thorn in the side of the Hill Raja.
Yeah, exactly. I think Mehdi Prakash also warns Guru Gobind Singh about like, okay, you're settling here, but Fatehshah, we do not get on.
Mm.
Right. And then it's from that, it's the dialogue. I think Mama Kirpal Chand as well is a key player in having them engage and have a conversation and just literally hug it out. Like it
Mm.
actually comes to the point, give each other a hug and embrace each other, and let's just be, let's be friends, let's be allies, let's be brothers in this. Do you want to speak to us about Fatehshah a little bit, Jalla? Like, especially his first initial interactions with Guru Gobind Singh, I find really quite interesting.
Yeah, because Fateh Shah is somebody that, I mean, Guru Gobind Singh is settling a dispute between Medni Prakash and Fateh Shah, right? And
Yeah,
Fateh Shah, and this is probably why Medni Prakash brought, Guru Gobind Singh there as one of the reasons.
absolutely.
Fateh Shah was kind of looked up to Guru Gobind Singh, was essentially like kind of very devotional to Guru Gobind Singh, and they had a really good relationship early on. And this then changes slowly because of multiple different reasons. I mean, in Bachitra Natak, it says, that at the beginning of Bhangani, where we're kind of just from this episode, we're going to jump into, but that Fateh randomly got mad, Binakaja, without any reason. That's how Guru Gobind Singh says it. And through the Suraj Prakash and these other texts, we get to hear that like it was through peer pressure of the other hill kings. It's because of the conflict, the wedding that's happening between Fateh Shah's daughter and then the son of Bhim Chand, right, of Kahlur. They're trying to make this alliance, and the Guru finds out that essentially, like, some of the other hill kings are using this as an opportunity. Everybody's getting together. They got a large force, and that they're going to just attack the Guru during this wedding celebration. The Guru is not having any of that, and it puts Fateh Shah in a kind of a really weird position here because initially he's very devotional to the Guru. The other kings want to put pressure on Fateh Shah to like, attack the Guru during this time. Everybody's together, and he kind of gets put in this really awkward position where he has to, right? His daughter, otherwise the marriage would go to south, and his daughter would be left out, to dry. So he's doing this for his daughter's sake, reputation, and all this, like log ki kehnage, like that type of idea as well, right? Still prevalent today, and and also wedding beefs, also still prevalent today, Um, so I don't know if we want to go into more specifics. What do you think?
It's really interesting as well. I think there's a part where we hear Fateh Shah's like inner dialogue. Kavi Santokh he writes
Mm,
about it and says like, Fateh Shah is going, I'm going to have to go against the Guru, but the Guru is so Dialu, is
yeah, he'll
so
forgive me.
forgiving that he will forgive me. I
Yeah.
mean, it reminds me of the Kabir line, Je hum na paap karanta ahe ananta, patit pavan naam kaise hanta. Like,
Mm,
if I did not commit paap, if I did not do this, then how could I ever be able to call you the redeemer of those sins or the redeemer of sinners?
right.
It's like a beautiful way that it tied into that. And I think that's the way that we start to hear Fateh Shah and
Yeah.
his thought. But the interesting thing is, Fateh Shah does start to get more and more bitter towards the
Mm,
Guru as a result of the interruption and the disruption of Bhim Chand's Baraat, right?
mm. Yeah, like Guru
Yeah,
Gobind Singh kind of stops them at that choke point of Paonta, not allowing the Bharat, the kind of groom's wedding party, to come pass by Paonta because the groom's wedding party had a bunch of soldiers, right? And it would having them at such close proximity to Paonta is opening yourself up to a very vulnerable position. The Guru's, tactically aware of that, and doesn't allow the party to go through. And that pisses everybody off. They got to go Iti if you want me to show the map, maybe.
yeah.
And you could describe the route that they have to take. Only the groom and the minister, so sorry, PM Chan's son and PM Chan's minister is allowed through. Like these types of weddings back in the day, even more recently, everybody in Punjabi culture sends out a Sahit Chitti. Sahit Chitti means that basically Saha is a astrological date that the Jyotish, like the astrologer has to kada, like kind of take out. Meaning like he has to open up all his books and look to the stars and say like, okay, on this date, the wedding is going to be set. So once the wedding's set in that sense, he's, you know, picked the date not based off of like when the Gurdwara is available like we do today. Like he's picking the date according to like when the stars are all going to line up for like the best wedding date, right? You can't miss that, So that's why there's this pressure. Like the groom has to get there on that date, and the only way to get there on that date is to go through Paonta. But the Guru
Mm.
Gobind Singh is not allowing the force to go through. So anyways, it can kind of
Yeah,
show
it's
the
it's because as well, like Bhim Chand still wants to fight against the Guru. Right,
yeah,
that's not ended. It's not that the wedding's happening and Bhim Chand's over and he's kind of like forgiven and it's all things gone. So if the whole Bharat does come through Paonta, they're gonna engage in battle.
mm,
So
mm,
they're not gonna be allowed to pass through. It's not even a
mm,
case of like the Guru playing this game and not allowing them. It's like actually, if you come, we're gonna fight, right?
mm.
So that's a really interesting thing. But yeah, let's have a look at how they travel, the distance that they would have managed to get through to get if they went through Ponta and where did they have to actually end up going?
Awesome.
And we're an hour in as well, so it's a good time to,
Yeah, it's a good time to stop. We could literally just do a part 2.
Perfect.
We can get too trapped into learning facts.
Yes, yeah.
But what we want to do is actually we want to just engage in the story. Like it's a full, fantastic, real. It's a real world story, but it can equally be just a great mythological story, and it can be a
Yeah, but
great
it,
fantasy story. And the way we can interact with all of these different components, like they're all valid,
yeah,
and
I think
we've
that's
got to
the
access
transition
that.
point to say
Yeah.
exactly what you just said there, which is you know, yeah, like you said, this is actually a real story, and yes, there's mythology, it's poetic, so there's mythology in there, there's all this other stuff, but they don't contradict, right?
No,
Like
exactly.
the fact that this is actually real and these are real characters and this is physically real as well. They don't contradict just because there's the mixing in of mythology or there's the mixing in of, other forms of like storytelling and poetry.
Yeah, I actually find it to be the complete embodiment of the whole Ikonka, the whole paradox of existence, really, when you
Mm.
look at these stories, that they actually they're tangible, you can go to the areas, you can map the areas, but the description of them can transcend that, right? And the contemplation of these stories can transcend that. And the relevance of the story in your own present moment also transcends that. So it's that always that constant play and paradox that is like the whole essence of like Ikonkar and everything that we kind of discuss anyway. So
Mm.
it's like part and parcel of the story, and I think it's important that we utilize all of those components, like rather than just keep it something that's like basically factual or keep it something that's to be worshipped and deified. We kind of really oscillate and traverse both those kind of planes of discussion.
Mm.